Now at this stage I'm going to create a background, a fog background like you've already seen in an earlier step. In the actual process of this painting I didn't put that fog background in until a bit later, but I wanted to explain it earlier in the process of the text tutorial. Just create a new layer and call it clouds, and then use the filter render clouds plugin to put some clouds in there. And then I can actually, here I need to change my color selection to black and white so they're a bit more stark in contrast. I just move them above my gradient levels layer just so they're not lost in darkness entirely. Transpose, Control T to transform and then scale them up. And then I'll play around with my blending modes just to make them really sit in the background nicer. It's a very, very simple process to create that backdrop. Now the next step, I want to punch up all the details here using a cavity layer. And I'll do that by going back to ZBrush, go to masking, and I'm going to open up mask by cavity and then the cavity curve. And then I'm going to make my curve look like what you see on the screen here, where it's just straight up and down, almost halfway across. Turn up my intensity and then click mask by cavity, and it's going to put dark masks down in all the recesses. So if I change my material now to the flat color material, I'll get a mask which is just the darkness of the recessed areas of the wrinkles. So I can just do an export of that document as, an image, load it back into Photoshop here, load up that cavity, and then I'll just copy with Control-Alt and then paste. And I'm just pasting it in and then setting it now to a multiply layer. And you see that punches up all the little wrinkles in the skin and just helps give that detail so much more tooth and edge to it. And I'll delete the background out of it the same way I would before, by control-clicking on any layer that's just the head, inverting the selection, and then deleting the overspray, deleting the background out of the cavity mask, or out of the cavity layer. And then I can use my eraser to erase out any areas that I feel like might be too strong. That's a fantastic technique there, just for punching up the details in something when you're starting to lose them under your painting. You can just basically go in, and it's very similar to dry brushing or adding a glaze down into the recessed areas of your sculpture, adding a wash to it. It's really a nice technique. And we're going to time-lapse again, a bit more of adding overlays here, because again it's the same process that we've already seen, just different permutations, different colors, just playing around with pushing the values towards warm and towards cool, just looking at what looks best for this character. In a few moments we're going to take a look at how we actually paint the teeth. And we're going to use that mattes layer that we created, where each of the subtools had its own matte value, its own flat color value, to help us paint those teeth in just a moment. So I'm going to go away from narration, and I'll come back in just a few moments when we're painting the teeth. And here we are. So I'm going to go to the utilities now, turn on the mats layer, and then wand select the gums. We'll create a new layer called gums, and I'll paint the color of the gums in here, which is just this nice purple. And I will dial back the blending mode now to an overlay. And I accidentally got one of the teeth in there, so I'm just going to need to erase that out. Don't want the gum color on the tooth. So it gives me a nice purple, deep purple burgundy color for the gums there. I really like that. I'm going to add a bit of that color up into the nostrils as well, just because I like it. Oh, it looks like I changed my mind there. Okay, we're going to create a layer now called teeth, and we'll go back to our mats, and I'm going to manually wand select each of the teeth because we want to give it a tooth color, a base tooth color for the teeth. I actually don't realize it at this point, but I don't have the layer selected for the mats. I'm still on the teeth layer. So I'm leaving this in so you can see me make a mistake that is pretty common, and you might make too. I'm having trouble selecting the teeth because I haven't gone into my utility layers here and actually selected the mats layer. So now I can use the magic wand to select the teeth. So it just took me a little bit of time to get to that, but now I can tell. I'm changing the tolerance on the magic wand so it's very discerning as to what pixels it selects. So I've gone in now and selected just the teeth. There we go. And now we can create a new layer. We'll go back to our layer for teeth, and we can now paint onto this layer. I just hid my selection with Control H. Just grab a paintbrush and we'll select a nice yellow ochre color, something not too white, moving more towards yellow. Paint that onto the teeth, and then we'll change our blending mode to overlay and then adjust our saturation and lightness. Duplicating the layer. That just helps punch up the color and dialing back the lightness and saturation. And actually hue shifting it as well, just to push them more towards a nasty brown color. And then I'll erase out the tips so that nasty brownish tooth color is concentrated more at the gum line, so it feels like there is tartar and decay and nastiness at the roots of the teeth there. Like I don't think they have toothbrushes in wherever this character comes from. It doesn't look like there's dental hygiene is a big deal for them. Using the smudge brush now, the smudge tool, just to streak that tartar, that decay down the length of the tooth so it feels like it's a proper stain running along the lengths of the teeth. Dialing our saturation back and our lightness. There we go. And very quickly we're arriving at a really nice looking set of teeth. Just by creatively using our masks to isolate the teeth and the gums, and then painting in color. It's a very simple process. By the way, what you saw me doing just then when I'm isolating a layer, if you hold down the Alt key and then click on the eyeball icon, the visibility icon next to a layer, it will isolate visibility for just that particular layer. I'm selecting a darker color now and just painting it into the roots of the teeth. I just want to really punch up the nastiness where the teeth meet the gums. And that pretty much sums up the process for our teeth. I'm just naming my layers now for crud, teeth, and gums, and just doing a couple little hue saturation shifts here and there just to bring it together nicely. So it's a very quick process to make the gums and the teeth, and it just adds so much to have that sense of filth and nastiness stacked up around the dentals of this character. That little touches like that add a lot of character. So let's move on.